Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another fabulous Cerule webinar. And today we have the dream team. We have the wonderful Linda Hoggard in New Zealand, the fabulous John Kennedy in New Zealand, and myself, Ian Davies in Australia, and Mark Parseekin in Boston may come on. We'll see if he shows up. And today we're doing a special call about handling objections, because to me, when people understand what we have here, there's no objection, because what we have is phenomenal. It's so beneficial. It just helps people so much. And people have objections. And to me, they're not really objections. They just don't understand the greatness that we have here. And so I'm going to start with the first objection. And some people call me up and say, hey, I did a Google search on your product and this lake is toxic, or the algae is toxic, or there's something poisonous about this. So I'm scared to take it. So let's go to Linda Hoggard in New Zealand. How do you answer that one?
Well, how to answer that one? Quite easily. The first thing I say is there's absolutely no way that there's any of the microcystin toxin in our product, and there's many reasons why. And one of the great things is that we now have a really good video explaining this. So it's called the Harvest video. So when you go onto the Cerule website, look for the Harvest video. It's there. It's on YouTube. It's in the Rapid Funnel app. And so for many people now, if they have read this information, I send them that video content because it explains it really, really well, and they get to see visuals of that, because there is an algae that can bloom in that lake from time to time, and it does produce something called microcystin. So Desert Lake Technologies, that harvests and creates the stem enhanced concentrate, has heaps of intervention to make sure that there's no way there's any of it ever turns up into the stem enhanced concentrate. So the founder of Desert Lake Technologies actually developed a separate harvester that lifts the AFA algae out of the water without the other algae. And then when you go to Desert Lake Technologies and you go into their factory, the whole first area you go into, you can't do any photography because there's lots of patented gear there that the engineers at Desert Lake Technologies have actually developed, and some of that's to do with cracking the wall of the algae and concentrating the algae, but there's a big amount of it to do with a process that all the algae goes through to bind anything like that out of the algae. And there's a lot invested in this process, and it's very effective, and the actual design and whole concept behind it is patented by Desert Lake Technologies. And then as you go through, there are areas where they're consistently testing, and I think I'm right in saying that they're testing it down to 0.002 microns for microcystin. So I know when I was last in at the Desert Lake Technologies office and I got to speak to Gita Jensen, she was like, well, no, I've spent my whole life kind of working out how, you know, there won't be any of this in there. There's just none in there. We have all these processes. So that actually led to the production of the Harvest video. So those are the things I talk about. I'll hand it back to you, Ian, for everyone else.
Great. Thank you, Linda. So now let's go to John Kennedy in New Zealand. What's your take on that?
Well, my take on it is that we have to get Linda to ask and answer these questions last, because she fills in with so much detail that we don't have anything else to say.
But how do you say it in your Southern North Island way?
So something that I say when people say they've gone to Google it, I said, so did you actually go and Google and find the research papers on these things, or did you just go and find someone's opinion? And so get them to think about that. Also, the other thing is that if they really think about it, if there was a possibility of any toxin in the product at all, it wouldn't be allowed to be for sale. So, you know, because they have to have gone through screening, evaluations and things like that to make sure that there aren't, you know, that it is a safe product. And absolutely, it's been safe. It's been consumed for decades, you know. Yeah, so just have a think about like that common sense side of it. And of course, send them all off to go and have a look at the Harvest video, which is right there on our front page of our website.
Wonderful. Thank you, John. And I interviewed Tom Venezuela, who's in charge of the harvest and the whole manufacturing process. And everything is so thoroughly tested before harvesting, during harvesting, after harvesting, during encapsulation. I get the thought that our product is probably 1,000 times more pure than anything that you even buy in the supermarket, because we're just so careful in a outrageously powerful way. And so it's just a non-issue, just doesn't exist. It's one of the most pure products we could ever take into our bodies. So thank you guys for answering those questions. Now the next